Now, before we go any further, I want you to familiarize the chart. So please look at the chart, a big chart, or the charts with you, and let us go through 121 types of consciousness. So please look at the chart, and the first column. So what are they? Akusala, akusala cheda, unwholesome consciousness. And then next group, 3 columns. Ahituka chetas, rootless consciousness. Then next 3 columns, Kama Vajara Sobhana, sense sphere, beautiful consciousness. These 3 groups together, how many? 54. They are Kama Vajra Chetas. Chetas pertaining to sense sphere. And then next 3 columns, Rupa Vajra, form sphere consciousness. There are 15 of them. And then next group, Arupa Vajra, formless sphere. Chetas pertaining to formless sphere. And Rupa Vajra Chetas and Arupa Vajra Chetas as a whole are called what? Mahakata Chetas. And then from the beginning to Arupa Vajra, including Arupa Vajra Chetas, how many? 81. Now, these 81 Chetas are mundane or supramundane? Mundane, Lokiya Chetas. So 81 Lokiya Chetas. And then the rest are supramundane or Lokuttara. Now, Lokuttara Chetas can be 8 or 40. So that is why we say 89 or 121 types of consciousness. Now let us take Lokuttara Chetas as 8. So the first 4 are Magga Chetas, path consciousness, and the last 4, Phala Chetas, fruition consciousness. Okay, let's go back to the first column again. First column, Akusala Chetas. Now the first 8, Loba Mula, rooted in Loba or with Loba root. And then 2 green ones, Dosa Mula, accompanied by Domanasa and Dosa. And the last 2, Moha Mula, having Moha as a root. But actually, the first 8 have Loba and Moha as roots, and the 2 Dosa Mula Chetas have Dosa and Moha as roots. And the last 2 has only 1 Moha as root. Okay, the next group, the first column, what are they? Resultant of Akusala, Akusala Vipaka. And the second column, resultant of Kusala, Kusala Vipaka. And the third column, Ahituka Kiriya. Actually, the second column you have to say Ahituka Kusala Vipaka, because there are Sahituka Kusala Vipakas also. And then the next group, 24, Kama Vajra Sobhana. Now the first column, Kusala Chetas. Right? The second column, Vipaka. And the third column, Kiriya. Very good. And then the next group, the first column, again, Kusala. Second column, Vipaka. And the third column, Kiriya. Again, Arupa Vajra. First column, kusala. Second column, vipaka. And third column, kiriya. Now let's go to Lokutara. Now, the first 4 columns are Magga Cetas, right? Now the first column is what Ceta? Sotapaddi Magga Ceta. Second column, Sakadagami Magga Ceta. The third column, Anagami Magga Ceta. And fourth column, Arahata Magga Ceta. And then the last 4, the first column, Phala Ceta. Second column, Sakadagami Phala Ceta. Third column, Anagami Phala Ceta. And the fourth column, Arahata Phala Ceta. Okay. And the feelings accompanying Cetas are represented by colors. Right? Red color represents Somanasa feeling, blue color, Upekha feeling, indifferent feeling, and then green, Domanasa feeling. And then green cross, Dukkha feeling. And red cross, Sukha feeling. Okay. Now, the second group, first column and second column. Now, what is the first Ceta of that group, the first column? What Ceta? Eye consciousness, seeing consciousness. Second, ear consciousness. Third, nose consciousness. Fourth, tongue consciousness. And the fifth, body consciousness. The same with the other column. So first Ceta of that column, eye consciousness. Second, ear consciousness. Third, nose consciousness. Fourth, tongue consciousness. And fifth, body consciousness. Then we go down the column, first column, Ahituka first column. So what is next? Receiving consciousness, and down, the last one, investigating consciousness. And then second column, first, receiving consciousness, second and third, investigating consciousness. So there are one, investigating consciousness accompanied by Somanasa, and one accompanied by Ubekha. Okay. Now today we come to analysis by doors, or in Pali, Dwara Sanghaha. Now when consciousness arises, it depends on different conditions. For example, for the eye consciousness or seeing consciousness to arise, there are 4 conditions, right, to be fulfilled. What? There must be the eye. There must be the visible object. There must be light. There must be light, and there must be attention. So consciousness depends on different conditions to arise. One of the conditions for consciousness to arise is called doors or dwara. So eye, ear, and so on are called dwara in Abhidhamma. And here it is used in figurative sense. Now the ordinary door. The door is a place where people go in and out. So if we want to go out of the house, we use the door, we go through the door. And if we want to enter the house also, we enter through the door. So eye and so on, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind, they are also called dwara or door in Abhidhamma, because consciousness arises through them. Figuratively speaking, consciousness enters our mind through these eyes, ears, and so on, or the objects impinge upon the mind through these doors. So that is why they are called doors. There are 6 doors taught in Abhidhamma. Now you already know 5 doors, right? So the first door is eye door, the second ear door, third nose door, fourth tongue door, and fifth body door. Now, eye door means the sensitive part in the eye. It is called eye sensitivity. Now, not the whole eyeball, but the sensitive part of the eye where visible object strikes. So it may probably be on the retina. There are many particles of matter staying there, and those are called eye sensitivity. And ear door means, again, not the whole ear, but in the ear it is said that there is something like a ring where sound vibrations strike and cause us to hear. Nose door means also not the nose, but a sensitive parts in the nose through which we experience smell. And tongue door means also sensitive parts in the tongue through which we experience taste, taste buds. And body door is different. Eye door is only in the eye, ear door only in the ear, nose door only in the nose, tongue door only in the tongue. But body door is all over the body, except the tip of the hairs, tip of the nails, and also dry skin. Otherwise, body sensitivity resides all over the body. That is why wherever we are touched, we experience that sense of touch. And then there is mind door. Now, mind door is different. What is mind door? The manual states that bhavanga is the mind door. So unlike the first 5 doors, the mind door is not material but mental. Now, eye door is material. Ear door, nose door, tongue door, body door also material, matter. But mind door is not matter but nama, mental. And what is that nama? Here, bhavanga consciousness. How many types of consciousness have the function of bhavanga? How many? 19, yes. Two santiranas accompanied by ubekha, kama vajra vipaka, rupa vajra vipaka, arupa vajra vipaka. So they have the function of relinking life continuum and death. So among them, mind door is bhavanga. So these 19 chetas. So when, say, past objects or future objects impinge upon the mind, it comes through this mind door. Now when we think of something in the past, that object comes to our mind through that mind door, not through the eye, not through the ear and so on, because that object is not present now. So we cannot see with our eyes or we cannot hear with our ears. but we see and we hear with our mind. So when we experience such things, those objects are taken by this mind door. Now, in the manual, the original manual, it just says that bhavanga is mind door. Now, the one commentary of the manual explains that it means the second of the vibrating bhavanga. That means the arrested bhavanga. So arrested bhavanga is what we must understand by bhavanga here. So mind door means that moment of arrested bhavanga. Now if you remember the thought process, you have the diagram of thought process? You should bring all handouts whenever you come. Huh? So there, when the, let us say, visible object, when the visible object strikes the mind, there is first bhavanga, and then vibrating bhavanga, and arrested bhavanga. That means from that moment bhavanga stops. So that commentary explains that since that arrested bhavanga is the moment after which the quality of Cheda changes. Until that moment, the quality of Cheda is inactive, right? And then beginning with 5 sense door adverting or mind door adverting, especially 5 sense door adverting, the quality of consciousness changes into active. So he explains that since it is the door, let's say, through which objects enter or through which some kinds of consciousness arise, we must take bhavanga here to mean that arrested bhavanga. But there are teachers who thought differently. And among them, here it is stated that Lady Seattle, and also through the other teachers as well. So according to those teachers, since the manual said just bhavanga and not arrested bhavanga specifically, they take any bhavanga without distinction. Any bhavanga is to be taken as manodvara. In the commentary to the second book of Abhidhamma and also in Visuddhimagga, there is a saying by the Venerable Buddhaghosa. You brought this book and it is now handy. The door of the sixth group of consciousness is a part of the mind base, manayatana, a part of the mind base that is life continuum. So in Visuddhimagga and also in the commentary to the second book of Abhidhamma, the Venerable Buddhaghosa says just bhavanga, and he doesn't say it is arrested bhavanga or vibrating bhavanga. But its tika, there is a tika to its commentary. So in the commentary to this Visuddhimagga, the author of that commentary explains that since there can be no avajana, no adverting without the bhavanga vibrating, we must take that what is meant here is vibrating bhavanga, and also the second bhavanga of vibrating, that is upacheda, arrested bhavanga. So according to that teacher, we can take that arrested bhavanga is manodvara. So we can take anything we like here. So ordinary bhavanga without discrimination is manodvara, or the arrested bhavanga is manodvara. So in Buddhism, in Abhidhamma, there are 6 dwaras, six doors through which consciousness arises. Actually, through which means depending upon which consciousness arises. Now, as you know that consciousness is not stored in the eye, not stored in the visible object, not stored anywhere. But when these conditions come together, consciousness just arises. Just as, say, when you put a magnifying glass in the sun, and the rays of the sun are, how to call it? Concentrated, and when there is a fuel, then the fire comes. So fire is not stored in the fuel or in the magnifying glass or in the rays of the sun. So in the same way, consciousness arises when these conditions meet together. Here, for seeing consciousness, there are four conditions, and for hearing consciousness, also 4 conditions, and so on. So, consciousness arises depending on these 6 doors, and so we may say there are 6 senses in Abhidhamma, not just 5 senses. But the 6th sense in Abhidhamma is different from what ordinarily understood as what is ordinarily understood as 6th sense. So in everyday language, 6th sense means something, what do you call that? Intuition or something, right? But here in Abhidhamma, 6th sense means mind door, which is bhavanga, life continuum. Okay, now we know 6 doors. Then, now we will find out how many chetas arise through a particular door. So if you remember the thought process chart, it will be easier. So, thought process goes like this. Past bhavanga, and then vibrating bhavanga, and then arrested bhavanga, and then 5 sense door adverting panchadvara vajana, and then seeing consciousness, and then receiving, and then investigating, then determining, and then javana, 7 movements of javana, and 2 movements of the dharamana, and then bhavanga again, right? That is seeing consciousness thought process. So there, seeing consciousness thought process arises through what door? Eye door, right? Okay. So, how many chetas arise through eye door? Now, please look at this chart in the book, or you are already looking at the chart, huh? Page, let me see, what's the page? Table 3.4. 133. Oh, yes. Page 133. So please look at that chart. Now, when you have the chart, there is no need for me to explain. Right? You already know. So, how many chetas arise, say, at or through eye door? Now, first it says 5 door adverting. Now, you must be able to pinpoint that consciousness on the chart. So, 5 sense door adverting. And then, eye consciousness. How many eye consciousnesses are there? 2. And then, what? Receiving consciousness, how many? 2. And then, investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity, ubekha, 2. Another investigation, consciousness accompanied by joy or somanasa, 1. And then determining consciousness, 1. And then SS Javana, Kama Vajra Sopana, right? So Kama Vajra Javana, how many? 29. 29. 12 Akusala, 1 Hasitupara, and then 8 Kama Vajra Kusala, and 8 Kama Vajra Kiriya. So 29 are called Kama Vajra Javana. And then what? SS result. So Kama Vajra Vibhaka, middle column, right? 8. So these chetas arise through I door. So if you add them up, you get 46. Now, if you can, you fill the colors on the small cards. For one for each door. So for not this one. For eye door, say 1 card. For ear door, 1 card, and so on. It will look like this. But only the relevant chetas are colored, not others. So you can understand very clearly and easily if you have a card like this. So this is a card for eye door consciousness, types of consciousness which arise through eye door. So there are 46. Now, shall I tell you a short method to understand this, or I just leave it to you? 54 Kama Vajra Chetas, right? 54 Kama Vajra Chetas minus 8. Ear consciousness and so on. Okay. Then through ear door, the same number, 46. You substitute ear consciousness for eye consciousness. So instead of the first 2, you get the second 2. So I don't have another card. So you can put it like this. So 46 chetas arise through ear door. Now, when we say 46 chetas arise through ear door, we do not mean that they arise at one time. They may arise, some may not arise at one time. We'll come to that later. Now, let's say eye consciousness. Two eye consciousnesses cannot arise at the same time, right? So if you see a desirable object, there will be kusala vibhaka, and undesirable object, akusala vibhaka, like that. So if we pick up all chetas that arise through eye door, we get 46. But not all these 46 chetas arise at a time. Now, if you know this, you know that in the diagram of thought process, how many chetas are represented by each moment? Say Panchadvara Vajana, right? How many chetas are represented? Only 1. Chakku Vijnana, eye consciousness can be 2 if the object is both desirable and undesirable. Then receiving consciousness, 2. Investigating consciousness, 3, right? And javanas, 29, right? And tadharamanas, registering, 11. 3 investigating, and 8 kama vajra vibhakas. Okay. So through ear door there are 46 chetas, and through nose door also 46 chetas. So instead of ear consciousness you put nose consciousness. And then through tongue door, 46. Yeah. And through body door, 46. Okay. So up till now, it's easy. Now mind door. Now when they arise through mind door, they don't arise through 5 sense doors. So that is when you remember something, think of something which is in the past or in the future and so on. Now, how many cetas arise through mind door? 67. So, what is the first one? Investigation, equanimity. 2, right? And then investigating, accompanied by somanasa, joy. And then determining, consciousness. And then kamavajra javanas, 29 kamavajra javanas, 12 akusalas, hasito bada, kamavajra kusala, kamavajra kiriya. And then sublime and what is SPM? Supramundane, very good. Sublime and supramundane javana, 26. That is 5 rupavajra kusala, 5 rupavajra kiriya, 4 arupavajra kusala, 4 arupavajra kiriya, and 8 lokuttara cetas. So altogether 26. Now, please make a note that these 26 cetas we will call later appana javanas. Appana, A-P-P-A-N-A, appana javanas. So if we want to refer to them as a whole, we will say appana javanas. So there are 26 appana javanas. And then the last box, kamavajra vibhaka, as result, sense sphere result. Kamavajra vibhaka, 8. Right. So if we add up all we get 67. So let's look in the chart. Those that arise through mind door. You already pointed out the cetas, right? So again, investigation accompanied by equanimity, investigation accompanied by joy, determining consciousness, kamavajra javanas, and then appana javanas, sublime and supramundane javanas, and then kamavajra vibhakas, 8. So altogether 67 types of consciousness. So these 67 types of consciousness arise through mind door. And then door freed, that means they don't arise through any of the doors. They don't arise through eye door, ear door, and so on. Without doors, they arise. Why? Consciousness can arise without doors, right? Now, these are 19 cetas that have the function of Padisanti, Bhavanga, and Chuti, right? So, we say mind door is Bhavanga, right? So here, they themselves are door. So a door will not arise through door. There are 3 reasons given in the commentary. The first reason is these cetas do not arise through 5 doors. Because they do not arise through 5 doors, they arise through mind door. And because they themselves are doors, they do not need another door. And they do not take any special objects. They take the objects that was taken by, or that was carried over from next life, past life. This you must understand karma nimitta and kati nimitta and so on. So since they take the objects taken by the jhana during the dying thought process in the previous life, they do not take any other object in this life. So since they do not take any other object in this life, they don't need a dwara, they don't need a door. So these chetas, which have the function of Patisandhi, Bhuvanga and Chuti, are said to be free from doors. So they are doors themselves. So they do not arise through doors. So 19 of the chetas, which are the 19? Investigation, consciousness accompanied by upekha, 2, and then kamavachara vipaka, 8, and rupavachara vipaka, 5, arupavachara vipaka, 4, or sublime vipaka, 9, and mahagata vipaka, 9. So altogether 19 chetas. So if you go back to functions, you know that these 19 chetas have the function of Patisandhi, Bhavanga and Chuti. So one section helps another section and so on. That is why I told you, please be familiar with the previous chapters or previous sections so that you understand easily what is taught next. Now, let us go back to I-door thought, I-door consciousness that arises through I-door. Now, not all the 46 chetas will arise at one moment, that you know. Now, with regard to some chetas among those, let us say, I consciousness, right? If the object is undesirable, then akusala vipaka, I consciousness will arise. If the object is desirable, then kusala vipaka will arise. So depending upon the quality of the object, these types of consciousness arise singly, one at a time. And if the object is undesirable, again, receiving consciousness will be akusala vipaka, and if it is desirable, it will be kusala vipaka. And also with investigation. But with investigation, there is a little difference. If the object is exceptionally desirable, it will be accompanied by somanasa. If it is, ordinarily desirable, then it will be accompanied by upekha, right? I think I explained it to you in the first chapter. Yeah. Again, let us go to jhavanas, right? Now, when we come to the moment of jhavanas, we may have either kusala jhavana or akusala jhavana, whether the object is desirable or undesirable, right? We can have kusala jhavana or akusala jhavana, depending on what? Huh? Depending on our attitude towards things, right? In Pali, yoniso manasikara. So if we have right attention, that means the correct attitude towards things, then we will have kusala. even though the object may be undesirable, even though we see something ugly, right? Even though we see what we do not want to see. But the jhana moments can be kusala if we have yoniso manasikara. So depending on the presence of yoniso manasikara and absence of yoniso manasikara, there will be either kusala jhana or akusala jhana. And then when these types of consciousness arise in the Kamavajra world, then the Dharamana also arise. But in the Rupavajra world and Arupavajra world, the Dharamana cannot arise. Especially Rupavajra world, because only Rupavajra Brahmas can see. And depending upon the quality of the individual. Now, if these consciousness arise in the minds of Putthujanas and lower three noble persons, what jhana will arise? Kusala jhana or Kiriya jhana? Kusala jhana. Kusala or akusala or Kiriya jhana. So for Putthujanas and also for some noble ones, the three lower noble ones, there can be either akusala or kusala. But for Arahants, if these consciousness arise in the minds of Arahants, there will be only Kiriya jhanas, right? So depending on what kind of the object, depending on where, in what realm, in what sphere these types of consciousness arise, and in what individual these consciousness arise, and depending on the presence or absence of yoniso manasikara, the consciousness can be different. Okay, let us go to mind door. 67 types of consciousness that arise through mind door. Now please remember the functions. Now the first one, let us see. Investigation consciousness accompanied by upekha, right? And that consciousness arises through mind door when it has a function of what? First, you must know how many functions does that consciousness have. Investigating consciousness accompanied by upekha. 5 functions. Relinking, bhavanga, chuti, and then investigating santirana and registering the dharamana. So it has 5 functions, right? But when it arises through mind door, how many functions? Can it have the function of parisandhi, bhavanga and chuti? No. So when we say investigating consciousness accompanied by upekha arises through mind door, we mean when it has a function of investigating and registering. Right? Yeah. And then let us go to Kamavajra Vipaka. Again, how many functions have Kamavajra Vipaka? 4. But these are the relinking, bhavanga, chuti, and registering. Here also, when these 8 Kamavajra Vipakas have the function of Padisandhi, Bhavanga and Chuti, they do not arise in mind door, right? only when they have the function of registering do they arise in mind door. So there are 67 types of consciousness which arise through mind door, but we must understand with reference to their functions. So when we say investigation consciousness accompanied by equanimity arises through mind door, we mean investigating when they have investigating and registering functions, right? Similarly with Kama Vajra Vibhaga Cetas. Okay, door freed. Now, investigation consciousness accompanied by equanimity is door free sometimes, right? So when it is door free, it has a function. When they are door freed, they have the function of Padisandhi, Bhavanga, and Chuti, right? And then Kama Vajra Vibhaga, although they have 4 functions, right? When they are door free, they have the function of Padisandhi, Bhavanga, and Chuti, right? So the investigating consciousness accompanied by Ubekha and Kama Vajra Vibhaga, we must understand that way with reference to their functions. And then the last one is sublime results, 9 sublime results. They have only 3 functions, and so they are always door free. So the investigating consciousness accompanied by Ubekha and Kama Vajra Vibhaga, they are sometimes door free. Sometimes they arise in, they arise at, or they arise through mind door, right? So sometimes through mind door, sometimes no door at all. Now, in this chart, I want you to make some mark. Now, I put circles around, say, so investigation, consciousness by equanimity, you have number 6, right? So make a circle around that 6. And then under SS result, Kama Vajra Vibhaga, so make a circle around that 6 too. That means they are sometimes mind door arise through mind door, and sometimes they are door free. In my original chart, I put a small line under those 6s, but they missed it in this chart. So just put a circle or something so that you know. Okay, now we will find out which cetas arise through only 1 door, which cetas through 5 doors, which cetas through 6 doors, and which cetas no door, right? Okay. Now the manual says, let me see, 36 types of consciousness arise through 1 door. So 1 door consciousness, there must be 36. Can you point them out? Or you look at this chart, right? So add the numbers on the last line, which are under 1. That means 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 26, right? Altogether, 36. So these 36 types of consciousness arise in one door only. That means eye consciousness arises in eye door only, ear consciousness, ear door only, and so on. Body consciousness and in body door only, and then 26 sublime and supramundane jhavanas arise through mind door only. They are one door, but one door is different from one jheta to another, right? But they arise through only one door, eye door, ear door, and so on. So there are how many jhetas that arise through one door? 36. Eye consciousness through eye door, ear consciousness through ear door, nose, tongue, body consciousness through body door, and then 26 sublime and supramundane jhavanas, or 26 appana jhavanas arise through one door only, which is mind door, right? Those that arise at two doors, no, right? three doors, no. 4 doors, no. Okay, 5 doors, yes. How many? Only 3. What are they? You add the numbers under 5, right? There are two fives. So they are 5 sense door adverting, right? And then 2 receiving consciousness. So these 3 arise only in 5 sense doors. If you have studied mind or thought process, it will become clearer, because in the diagram for mind or thought process, there are no sampatechana, no panchadvara vajana, no sampatechana. So three types of consciousness arise through 5 doors. 5 doors means eye, ear, nose, tongue, body door. And these 3 are panchadvara vajana and sampatechana. Now, these 3 are collectively called manodhatu. Now please note that. Manodhatu. Later on, we may use that term for these three types of consciousness. So, whenever we say manodhatu, please understand these 3 types of consciousness. Panchadvara vajana and 2 sampatechana chetas. And then those that arise through 6 doors. Now here we will differentiate. 6 doors always and 6 doors sometimes. Now the manual says 36 types of consciousness arise through 1 door, 3 through 5 doors, that finished, 31 through 6 doors. That means 6 doors always. Now add the numbers under 6s, but not circled ones. So 1, 29, 30. Two ones, yeah. Investigation accompanied by joy, determining, and sublime and supramundane jhavanas, 29. Yeah, I mean, Kamavajra jhavana, 29. So, Kamavajra jhavana 29 plus determining plus investigation accompanied by joy. So altogether 31. These 31 chetas arise through 6 doors always. Then how many chetas arise through 6 doors sometimes? That means sometimes they are 6 doors, sometimes they are door free. Circle. Now, there are stores in Southern California and in Florida, K and the circle, right? They call it circle K. So here circle 6. So if you add 2 numbers under circle 6s, you get 10. We don't see circle K stores here in the Bay Area. No. Okay, so these 10 chetas arise through 6 doors sometimes. Okay, how many chetas arise through no doors or door free? How many chetas are door free? Again, sometimes and always. How many sometimes? 10. Again, those under circle 6s. And how many? How many doors always door free? I mean, how many chetas always door free? 9. 9 sublime result. I mean, yeah, sublime resultants. Rupa Vajra Vipaka and Arupa Vajra Vipaka. Right? Okay. So we'll go through it once again. One door chetas. That is 6. Right? Later, we do it later. So 1 door chetas, that is 6. 5 door chetas, 3. 6 door chetas, always 31, sometimes 10. And door free, always 9. Sometimes 10 again, right? Now, let us see. Determining consciousness. So, determining consciousness, how many doors? All 6 doors, right? Now, what is determining consciousness? It is mind door adverting, right? Okay. How many functions does it have? 2 functions. One, adverting, and the other, determining. Now, when it has the function of determining, it arises through 5 doors. When it has the function of what? Adverting, it arises through mind door. So that is the difference. Although we say it arises in all 6 doors, it has the difference of function. So when it arises through 5 doors, let's say eye door, ear door, it has the function of determining. When it arises through mind door, it has the function of adverting, because it takes the place of Panchadwara Vajana, right? In the mind door thought process, we do not have Panchadwara Vajana. Instead, we have Manodwara Vajana, mind door adverting. Okay. Okay, 1 door chetas, that is 6. Can you point them out? Now, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose, tongue, body consciousness, and then determining consciousness, investigation accompanied by joy, right? Oh no, I'm sorry, appana javanas, sublime and supramundane javanas, right? 31, right? 26 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. 36, I mean. Yes. So, one door chetas, 36. That means Dvipanja Vinyana and 26 Appana Javanas, right? Yeah. 5 door chetas, only 3. And they are Panchadwara Vajana and Sampadichana. Right. And then 6 Dwara Chaitas, always 31. Investigation accompanied by joy, determining Manodwara Vajana, and then 29 Kama Vachara Javanas. 31. So they arise through 6 doors always. 6 doors sometimes. 10. Investigation accompanied by Ubikha and Kamavajra Vibhaga. No door always. 9. Rupavajra Vibhaga 5. Arupavajra Vibhaga 4. No door sometimes. 10. Investigation accompanied by Ubikha and Kamavajra Vibhaga 8. So we get all Chaitas with their respective Dwaras. So this is the Chaita analyzed by way of Dwaras, by way of doors. Now let's go to objects. How many? Now the analysis by doors is not so difficult. Huh? Is it complicated? Not too much. Right? If you know, it's easy. If you don't know, if you remember, it is easy, right? Yeah. So what is important is you are familiar with what you have studied. That is very important. Now we are referring back to functions here, right? So in order to understand this analysis by doors, we have to be familiar with the chart, the first chapter, and then also the section on functions. So if we know these two, then this section becomes easy. Now the next section is on objects. Objects is complicated. just 6 objects today. Now objects are called Aramana or Alambana. There are 2 words which mean just objects, which mean the same thing. The first is, you can see the word in the manual, Aramana. Aramana means something where Chaitas and Chaitasikas delight. Now when there is an object, Chaita is always delighted. Actually, Chaita cannot be without an object, right? So since it cannot live without an object, it is said to take delight in object. The other word is alambana. That means to hold on to or to hang on to. Without an object, Chaita cannot arise, right? Because the definition of Chaita itself is what? The awareness of the object. So since it is awareness of the object, it cannot arise without an object. So since it needs an object to hold on to for its arising, the object is called in Pali alambana. And it is compared to a stick, which an old man uses. Say, if you cannot walk well, then you use a stick to support yourself. Or it is compared to a line, a rope. Say stretched through two places, and if you are blind or if you have difficulty in walking, then you hold on to the rope and then you walk. So objects are those that are held on to by Cetas and Cetasikas. In that sense, they are called alambana. So both these words are used in Abhidhamma books. And according to Abhidhamma, there are 6 kinds of objects. The first 5 you already know, right? What are the first 5? Visible object or visible form, and then sound, smell, taste, and touch. Now, visible form is one material property. Now, there are 28 material properties, and they will be described in chapter 6. So, visible form is one material property, sound is another material property, smell another, taste another. But touch, it is different. The tangible object. Tangible object is identified with 3 of the 4 essential or primary elements. Now there are 4 essential elements. You all know that, right? What are they? Element of earth, element of water, element of fire, element of air. So among these 4, according to Abhidhamma, element of water cannot be touched. Untouchable. We cannot touch the element of water, it is said. So what we mean by tangible object, what we mean by something that can be touched, is just the combination of the other 3 elements. The element of earth, element of fire, and element of air. So whenever we say tangible object, whenever we say touch, we mean those 3 things. And these 3 are called primary elements or essential elements. And the other material properties are called upadharupa, dependent properties. Now they use the word derived, and I don't like the word derived. So dependent ones, I want to use it. So the visible form, sound, smell, and taste belong to the dependent ones. They are among the 24 dependent ones. But touch or tangible object belong to the 3 primary elements. So according to Abhidhamma, water element of water cannot be touched. It is said here, cannot be experienced as a datum of touch, but can only be cognized through the mind door. Now, the characteristic of water element is, what do you call it? Trickling or cohesion. So that trickling or cohesion we cannot touch. So when we put our hand into the water, we feel the touch of the water, right? It is not water element. That is the 3 other elements. Now we feel whether water is cold or hot, right? That means we feel the element of fire, right? But element of cohesion we cannot touch. So that can only be understood through mind. So there are now visible object, sound, smell, taste, and touch. These 5 are material properties only. But the last one is called Dhamma object. In this book, it is translated as mental object. So that is not so accurate. I think we can define the use of this if we define mental here to mean other than 5 senses. Then we may use mental the word mental object. But I prefer to leave it untranslated and just call Dhamma object. Now Dhamma object is not just one. There are how many Dhamma objects? There are 6 kinds of Dhamma objects. The first one is called sensitive matter. Now you know the sensitive matter, right? Eye door is sensitive matter, right? Eye door means eye sensitivity. So eye sensitivity, ear, nose, tongue, body sensitivity. Now they are called Dhamma objects. So eye sensitivity and so on cannot be seen with the eyes. We can experience only through mind. Then the second type of Dhamma object is subtle matter. Now among the 28 material properties, 12 are said to be gross and 16 are said to be subtle. So among them, or one of them, is water element. So element of water is said to be subtle matter, and masculinity, femininity, heart-based, nutrition and so on, they are also said to be subtle matter. So there are 16 subtle material properties and 12 gross material properties. So here, subtle material property. And then, citta. All types of citta. Now, sensitive matter, whether sensitive or subtle, or gross, they are always objects. They cannot take object because they themselves are object and they have no cognitive ability. But citta, now with citta it is different. Citta can be both object and that which takes an object. So here citta is included in the Dhamma object. Now that you are all meditators, I don't need to explain in detail, right? You practice meditation and you try to be mindful of your thoughts, right? Your thoughts going here and there. So one thought, one citta is the object of another citta. Now you are making notes and that is one citta, right? Say noting citta. And then the citta that is noted, that is another citta. So noted citta. So citta can both be subject and object, but not at the same time. Not at the same time. A particular citta cannot be both subject and object at the same time. Okay. So citta is included in the Dhamma objects because it is not included in the other 5 objects. And then cetasikas. Cetasikas can be objects of objects of citta. And when they accompany the noting citta, they belong to subject, right? When they belong to noted citta, they are also objects, right? And also when you practice meditation, you are aware of your attachment or anger, right? Depression. So some emotions, or you are mindful of your feelings, then Cetasikas become the object of your Cheta, right? So Cetasikas can be experienced only through Chetas. I mean, only through mind door. And then next one is Nibbana. So Nibbana can be seen only through mind door. So it is also called Dhamma object. And then concepts. That means conventional realities, conventional truth, like the man, woman, house, car, and so on. These are all called concepts. And these concepts are also experienced or known through mind door, not through eye door. Now, it's very, very strange that I see this and I don't see this, right? I don't see the microphone. Or I see the microphone, which is correct. Both are correct, right? In conventional sense, it is correct. I see the microphone. But in the ultimate sense, there's no microphone. It's just particles of matter, right? So a microphone is a concept. So this concept can be understood only through mind door and not through eye door. Now, if you remember, or I don't know whether I have told you, in order to see something, you need different kinds of thought processes. Let me say 5 thought processes, 5 kinds of thought processes, not 5 thought processes, 5 kinds of thought processes. The first 2 take the ultimate reality as object, and the other 3 take the concept as object. And only after these 5, or only at the moment of the fifth thought process, do you know that I see a microphone, I see a car, I see a man. So the concept, a microphone, or a car, or a man, or a woman, is known through mind door, not through eye door, ear door, and so on. So these 6 are called Dhamma objects. If you want to call them mental objects, it's okay, so long as you understand what the mental objects consist of. So again, how many kinds of mental objects are there? 6. And they are sensitive rupa, matter, subtle matter, citta, cetasika, nibbana, and concepts. 6. So this Dhamma object, or this word Dhamma here, is a little different from Dhamma in Dhammanupassana. A little different. Okay, we stop here. Just 6 kinds of objects, and you understand these 6. So the first sight, a visible object, you know them, and audible object, sound, they are very clear, and then smell, taste, touch, they are easy to understand. But Dhamma objects, it's not so easy. So sensitive matter, subtle matter, citta, cetasika, nibbana, concepts. Right. Now, next week we'll learn what cetas take, what objects. Okay, now. Questions?
So we have 19 Cheta from concern Patisendi, Bhavanga, and QT. This commentary say more detail that now we have a Kamavachara Vipaka for associate with knowledge and for disassociate with knowledge. So now this commentary say more detail. So when you partition with the 4 associate with knowledge, and when then what will happen if practicing with for this
not accompanied by.
We have two investigating with upekha, one with kusala, one with akusala. This commentary say when the person practicing with investigating with akusala, and when the, so the commentary say more detail about that.
Can you wait? And until 5th chapter, or if you cannot wait, read the 5th chapter. So they are explained. Say you if a person is born in 4 woeful states, then his pradisandhi is upekha santirana, akusala vipaka upekha santirana. Right. So if a person is born as a human being but born blind or deaf or something, then the other upekha santirana and so on. So they are all explained there.
When you have a memory and you see it in your mind, you're not perceiving it with the eye door.
Right. Not with eye door. Yeah, so because you are not seeing with your eyes. Even when you close your eyes, you can see in your mind that image, right? So that means you don't see with your eyes.
So what object which of the 6 objects are you seeing when you see a memory?
It can be any object, because something you saw, now you can call to your mind, or something you heard. Somebody says something, and then you can hear now. I mean, not in the ear, but in your mind you can hear. So actually, through mind or there are no objects that cannot be experienced, except the present visible object and so on. They can be experienced by both 5 senses and also mind or. Now, the 5 objects, right? These 5 objects belong to three kinds of times: past, present, and future. Now, present object is the object of, say, eye door thought process, ear door thought process, and so on. But the past and future, the past visible object and future visible object are the object of mind door. So through mind door, you experience, or you let's say you see, or you hear the object. So when they are taken through mind door, mostly they are past or future. But if you have abhinya, right, then you can see things far away, that means with your mind, or you can hear sounds far away with your mind. So in that case, the what you see and what you hear are also present. So sometimes the objects are past or future, and sometimes they are present. Yeah.
You are not the same way you were 7 years ago, and you are not different from when you were 7 years ago. I mean, you told us that about Buddhism, the Buddha teaching, right? And our perception may be right, may be wrong. I understand that. But each of us, when we see you, we can know that is Silananda. Is there anything there in you that gives us that identification that's Silananda?
That is sanya. Sanya is defined as something which helps the later understanding. That means you make a mark in your mind, and with that sanya, you recognize when you see it again. So you see me and say you have make the mark that this face belongs to Silananda. So this memory, this sanya is carried in your mind, in the continuity of your mind. And so when you see me again, or when you call me to your mind again, so you recognize that this is Silananda. So it is actually the work of sanya.